Hey y'all, it's Teresa's Spot for Art. Let's learn how to paint 3 different flowers in 5 minutes each. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Hit the red subscribe button. Thank you. We're going to paint a blanket flower. So I'm going to just start here by making 3 little circles for my centers in a triangle. Okay? Put that aside. I have out a bunch of colors on my paint palette here, but we're going to start with red, and I'm using about a 1/2 inch flat brush. This is a number 16, but brushes are not universal, and I'm applying a little bit of pressure to my brush to load it with the red. Okay, I'm going to come back to my paper, my surface, and I'm going to start with pulling in these strokes, and I'm going to go around the center of my flower. I'm pulling in these short rounded strokes with my flat brush. We want the edges of the petals to be a little bit jagged. They don't have to be even and straight and lined up like soldiers, but I'm just pulling down with the flat end, the chisel edge of the brush, and making my petals all work towards the inside into the center of what is going to be this blanket flower. Okay? And I'm going to do all of these at once. This way I have the red on my brush, and you put as many petals as fit on your center. So if my center was bigger, I'd probably be using a bigger brush, and I have more petals. And I just continue to go around in the circle, pulling in. I don't want to leave spots. Pulling in towards. I'm just using this flat chisel edge of my brush. You want it to be nice and neat like that. And I'm pulling in these little tiny hash marks, brush strokes. Each petal is a series of them, and they're kind of layered next to each other, and they all go together to make the petal. Okay, now that I have the basis of my 3 flowers, I am going to wash my brush. Okay, let me give it a rinse. Dry it off. And now I'm going to go into some yellow. I'm going to do the same thing, applying a little bit of pressure to my brush. I want to get the yellow up nice and in the fibers of my brush. And I'm going to go back again. And now I'm going to come off the page a little bit. Let me get a piece of blank because I have to come off. So I'm going to add yellow. I'm starting higher, and I'm just pulling in the yellow, and I want it to cross over the red a little bit. So I'm coming in here with the yellow, and the yellow is overlapping the red, but not the whole way. So we start out a little bit higher, we overlap our red, and we add the yellow over top the red out there. And we'll do the same thing to all of them as we work our way around each of the petals. If you did the yellow right on top of the red, which is okay too, you'd have a little bit more of orange. in the transition spot there. But either way, your flowers, your way. Just make sure that you start your yellow out a little bit higher because you do want some fresh red towards the center of the flower. And again, I'm just working on the chisel edge, pulling down these little strokes towards the center. Okay, so there we have the basis for our 3 flowers, and I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a dry. I'm going to take out my round brush. You could use a scruffy for this. I'm going to use this round brush because this is the one I've been painting with, and not a lot of people have a scruffy brush. So I'm going to take a little bit of my red over here and a tiny bit of black, and I'm going to mix them up. If you have burgundy, you can use burgundy. If you have a berry wine, you can use your berry wine. But I'm just mixing in some black and red right here on my palette. Got some in there for my dish. We want to get a nice dark color. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm using my round brush and I'm kind of like pouncing in the center. Pick up my dark color and I'm using my brush in a pouncing motion, and I'm pouncing in the centers on these 3 flowers that I have here. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush, and then using the tip of my brush, the back of it, with some yellow, I'm going to just tap in some of the centers highlighted to these flowers. Okay, and then let me get out a couple of greens. I have that light green, so I'm going to keep that light green. Oops. I'm going to come over here with some green. I'm going to double load my brush, the light and the dark. And I'm just going to add in a couple of leaves. Dark green, light green. Dark green, light green. And then down here we'll make a bigger one. And there we have our blanket flower. Who wants to paint a daffodil? Are you ready? I have my number 16 flat brush. I have some bright yellow and some red and some greens on my palette. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Okay. I'm going to pick up some yellow and some white on my brush, and I'm going to double load my brush. Yellow, white, apply a little bit of pressure to my brush, back and forth. We want to get the paint up in the bristles. Okay, and there we have on our brush. Okay, so I am going to put a dot. Let's do it there. A dot for the middle. Stand up, and I'm going to go up and down. Okay, pick up some yellow, pick up some white. I'm going to go up and down. Pick up some yellow, pick up some white. I'm going to go up and down. Okay, that's our first layer of our petals. Make sure I have some nice fresh paint on there. And I'm going to do it again, but now I'm going to do it in between. So I'm standing up, I'm applying a little bit of pressure, I'm going up and down. I'm going up and down. And then last but not least, I'm going up and down. Okay? So we have all our petals. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of red on my brush. I'm going to find a spot. I'm going to start working that in. So I have the orange, I have the yellow, I have white, and I picked up some red, and I'm working that into my brush. Okay? I'm going to come back over here to my flower, and I'm going to do a little U. Okay? I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to come in the back, and I'm going to do a little bit of like a ruffle. Okay. Pick up a little bit more yellow, and then I'm going to come in here and do the inside. Now we have the inside of our trumpet. Might be a little bit of darker in here. Okay. Alright, I'm going to wash my brush. I get some green. And a nice long stem. And we want some big leaves. And I'm going to grab my liner brush, pick up some white, and pull a little bit of stamens into the center of our flower. And there we have our daffodil. Okay, who wants to paint some filler flowers? These are almost like something you would put in the background if you was just being a little abstract. Maybe in the background, if you noticed on my villages, I have some window boxes up high. I'm just mixing up a little bit of brown. All right, and I'm going to pretend that we're drawing in a window box here. So I'm just going to make a big rectangle with these different color browns. I have some burnt sienna, I have some burnt umber, and I have some fawn, light fawn. It doesn't matter if my window box is perfect or not, and I'll show you why, because we're going to cover it with a bit of florals. And that is the point of this, not the box or the rectangle. All right, so I'm going to get a very small flat brush, about a number, I don't know, number 2, this one. But don't forget, brushes. A number 2 in a folk art is not a number 2 in a Prints, is not a number 2 in an Artist Loft. So I would say this one's about 1/8 of an inch wide. Okay. I have my 2 greens here. I have a light green and a dark green. And I'm just going to start messily, once I'm trailing down, making these crisscrosses in the greens to make some background foliage. I'm using this little tiny brush. I'm just making crisscrosses. Some of it is going to trail down on the ends, going right across the top. This is the background to our flower box. You don't want the edges to be perfect. You want a variation of greens. I'm just doing every which way. Oh, spilled some there. I can have it come trailing off. Pick up some light to add some light tones in there. Can have a little bit down here in the middle. Okay, and that's just basically the background to what's going to be some florals. Okay, and then you can do your florals any color you want. In this case, I'm going to do them yellow because I happen to have out some yellow. But you can do your flowers whatever color you want. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, I'm going to pick up some yellow, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on the corner. So yellow and white, and I'm just tapping in. And these are very abstract background fillers. I'm doing them in taps of 3. They're all different sizes. They don't have to be perfect. You can have your window box be as floral or as green as you want it. And this is just an abstract background. Maybe you have a building or an arbor, a gate, and you just want to have some florals in the background. Sometimes I'm picking up more white. I didn't even let it dry, so my green is getting mixed up in there too, and it's all okay. And I'm usually doing clusters of 3. You can see I'm turning my brush all different ways. Having it trail down off this. And here we have a nice little window box, a background for our art. And there you go.